Quit whining and slap it into gear.
Developed by Grey Matter, who also created the excellent boxing game Foes of Ali for the 3DO, Phoenix 3 is an ambitious, multi-genre game combined with a science fiction short film. So there's a lot going on, but does this all gel and translate into a decent game? Let's find out. It's no secret that most die-hard 3DO fans can't get enough of that mid-90s FMV we love so much, and Phoenix 3 is dripping in it. The plot, told in the style of a science fiction film with real actors and pretty good production values, starts with the Graal attacking Gal-Earth. They're looking for something called the Hyperion, and it's up to Derek Freeman to find and activate it first using things called Talons. After the Council of Gal-Earth tells Derek about hidden starfighters that could be used to find the Talons, he takes off across the surface and underground of Gal-Earth until he finds the Phoenix ship number 3. That's why the game's called Phoenix 3, by the way, it's the name of the ship. From there, Derek jaunts around the solar system, finding pilots to help him along the way, as he goes from place to place, exploring and blowing things up with laser guns. Phoenix 3 is unique in that it doesn't feature just one style of gameplay. You begin the game traversing platforming environments, exploring, shooting enemies, and trying to reach the goal of each stage. Derek controls really fluidly, with him being able to shoot in almost any direction, hang from ledges to pull himself up, and utilize a variety of weapons to keep proceedings interesting. His animation is quite fluid, and there's always a good amount of the stage on screen, with the generous camera never putting you in a situation where you can't see hazards before they hit you. The only criticism I have of Derek's movement is that he jumps like he's on the moon, which can sometimes make precise platforming a little trickier. Levels are pretty long and varied, with plenty of verticality to keep things interesting. At one point you'll be jumping around in an underground area. Then in another, you'll be navigating an enormous maze before finding yourself negotiating a labyrinthine ship in an attempt to shut down its engines before they go critical. I really appreciate that Grey Matter didn't just make a few platforming levels, slap them on a CD, and ship this game. Each level ties into the overall story pretty well, and Derek always has a reason to be doing what he's doing. This cohesiveness is Phoenix 3's greatest asset, in the sense that its disparate parts really do gel to create a competently designed whole. Speaking of parts, there's still two left to discuss. The first are the space shooter sections of the game. You access these by using the pleasant-looking star map in an attempt to find planets or space stations with Talons on them. If you pick wrong, you're thrust into combat with a Graal ship. These levels play like any basic space-based shooter, with your ship being propelled by a thruster in a dogfight. You lock onto enemies, blast them, and then move on. Simple stuff, but well done. These sections look great, with well-designed 3D models to goggle at, including a really nice planet model. My only complaint with these levels is that enemies are sometimes too good at evading you, and that makes them way longer than they need to be, with you having to chase after them constantly. There's also one final type of stage, which is more of an extension of the space shooter sections, where you're flying through a trench to get to a target area. This kind of section is pretty rare and pretty boring. So we've established that for the most part, Phoenix 3 is pretty fun, but does it look and sound good? Well, I think it does. The side-scrolling levels feature nice, highly detailed characters with good animation, decent environments, and nice spot effects like transparent fire. Gore explodes out of enemies when you kill them, and explosions are nice and satisfying. The music and sound on a whole is pretty solid, with decent rockin' tunes and some more electronic ones that really get your pulse going. I really wish there was more variety in the music in the space levels though, as it gets extremely repetitive, and some of the sound effects are a bit strange. Finally, I want to talk about the cutscenes, which are really fun. I'm a huge fan of mid-90s science fiction and action shows like Tech War and Space Precinct, and the cutscenes in Phoenix 3 have that same feel to them. I'd highly recommend Phoenix 3 to any 3DO fan that hasn't played it. It's easily one of the most solid action games on the system, which is pretty original, has a fun story and is quite engaging for the few hours it takes to get through it.